Welcome to this explainer. Have you noticed how the pace of project delivery has gone from, say, a steady jog to just absolute light speed over the last few years? Well, today, we are looking at the future of Agile. We're moving way beyond the original 2001 Agile Manifesto. We're talking past those basic sticky notes on a whiteboard and stepping into a world where artificial intelligence and enterprise-wide scaling are completely redefining how business value is created. So, whether you're leading a massive digital transformation or honestly just trying to figure out why your software updates so frequently these days, this explainer is going to map out exactly where Agile is heading in 2026.
Now, to really grasp why this matters, I want you to listen to this staggering number: 130 pounds. That is the massive difference in the cost per customer between modern digital neobanks and your legacy traditional incumbents. According to industry data, neobanks spend about 20 pounds per customer to deliver their services. Meanwhile, older institutions, they're spending closer to 150 pounds. That 130-pound gap right there represents the dire financial stakes of slow, rigid delivery. Simply put, if you can't build and adapt quickly, you are quite literally paying the price in massive operational overhead.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the agility mandate, review the foundations of Agile, and then tackle the scaling problem and lean. From there, we'll dive into Agile 2.0 and AI ecosystems, and finally, we'll wrap up by comparing modern Agile methodologies side by side.
Okay, let's dive into part 1, the agility mandate.
Let's look at the stark reality facing legacy institutions right now. The pressure to modernize has literally never been higher, and it all boils down to how fast a company can deliver value to its users. On one side of the ring, we've got organizations weighed down by monolithic tech that was built decades ago. In those places, managing a single software release once a month is treated like a miracle, something you celebrate with cake in the break room. But on the other side, the disruptors. Built on API-first architectures, these agile natives are deploying code tens of times a day, every single day. They're utilizing product-led growth, meaning the product itself actually drives customer acquisition and retention. The contrast is just night and day.
Moving right along to part 2, foundations of Agile.
So to combat those painfully slow delivery cycles we just talked about, the software industry had to radically shift its approach to start working faster and smarter. First up in that evolution is Scrum. Now this is the team-level execution engine that completely changed the game. And remarkably, about 87% of Agile teams today still use Scrum in some capacity. It works by breaking massive projects down into really short, iterative cycles called sprints, which usually last about 2 to 4 weeks. It also introduces specific, highly focused roles, like the product owner to manage the backlog and the Scrum Master to clear out roadblocks. It's highly structured, it's ceremony-driven, and honestly, it's fantastic for giving a single team intense, laser-like focus.
Next up is Kanban. Now, where Scrum uses very strict time boxes, Kanban is a totally different beast. It's all about continuous, fluid delivery. It's essentially a visual workflow management framework, and it's designed specifically to limit work in progress, or WIP. By putting a hard cap on how many tasks can be actively worked on at any one time, Kanban helps teams instantly visualize bottlenecks. It prevents all that messy context switching and ensures a really steady, sustainable momentum from the backlog all the way to completion. So, both Scrum and Kanban are absolutely phenomenal at the team level. But we have to ask the big question: what happens when Agile needs to scale across an entire enterprise? I mean, think about it. What happens when you have 50 different Scrum teams, and they all need to perfectly align with the CEO's strategic vision?
Which brings us nicely to part 3, the scaling problem and lean.
Look, having blazing fast developers doesn't really help if they're rapidly building the wrong thing, right? And this brilliantly illustrates why scaling requires splitting up the product roles. You have the product manager, who becomes the strategist. They own the what and the why, getting deeply involved in market research and big-picture business goals. Then you have the product owner, who acts as the tactician. They own the how and when, embedding directly with the engineers to maximize delivery velocity. In large enterprises, separating these two roles is absolutely crucial to ensure deep focus on both top-level strategy and granular execution.
But how do you actually fund all of this? Enter Lean Portfolio Management, or LPM for short. LPM solves the scaling problem by acting as the ultimate bridge between executive strategy and team execution. Instead of relying on static, rigid annual budgeting, which, let's be honest, is the enemy of true agility, LPM uses dynamic funding based on continuous ROI. It ensures that the money flows directly to the initiatives that are actually delivering business value right now. It's literally connecting enterprise priorities straight to the teams doing the work.
Let's move to part 4, Agile 2.0
and AI ecosystems.
Now we're getting to the bleeding edge of project delivery for 2026. Agile 2.0 recognizes that agility is a culture, it's not just a framework. When organizations successfully scale an agile culture that's genuinely rooted in psychological safety, they don't just write code faster. They see a massive 45% outperformance in pure innovation and a 30% leap in customer satisfaction. When your teams feel safe enough to experiment, fail fast, and continuously discover things alongside the customer, your business outcomes are dramatically amplified.
Now, what's really interesting here is how AI is stepping in to augment this entire process. We are no longer relying on tedious manual tracking. AI is now optimizing sprint planning by automatically analyzing pass velocity and team availability. It's providing predictive risk management, actually flagging delayed projects before a human even notices the trend. We're seeing automated retrospectives that summarize performance data flawlessly, and even AI-powered daily stand-ups that use natural language processing to pull updates straight from developer commits. It's a real game changer.
And because of these incredible AI tools, the role of the product owner is evolving on a really fascinating timeline. They're moving from phase 1, basically acting as a simple backlog manager, just writing user stories, into phase 2 as a cross-team collaborator. Now, in phase 3, they are becoming AI tool adopters, actively using generative AI to write acceptance criteria and analyze usage data. And all of this ultimately frees them up for phase 4, becoming a true outcome-focused leader. They're measuring success not by how many little features were shipped, but by the actual business value and customer impact generated, which at the end of the day is the ultimate metric for your business.
All right, let's bring it all together in Part 5, comparing modern agile methodologies.
So, the crucial point is understanding how these approaches conceptually stack up against one another. Notice the progression here. Scrum and Kanban, they are highly focused on granular team-level execution and day-to-day workflow. Because of that, their business value is pretty localized, and right now their AI integration is quite low. But as we move toward lean portfolio management, the focus really shifts to strategic alignment and dynamic funding, driving much higher business value. And finally, Agile 2.0 represents the whole shebang: continuous discovery, enterprise-wide agility, massive business value, and deep systemic AI integration, like those predictive risk models we talked about.
This quote absolutely perfectly summarizes our journey today. Agility is evolving from team rituals to enterprise strategy, powered by AI, continuous learning, and customer obsession. Honestly, it's no longer just about whether your team does a quick daily stand-up. It's about whether your entire organization's architecture, culture, and technology can actually adapt to real-time market demands using the smartest tools available.
So, I want to leave you with this final, slightly provocative thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your own organization right now. Will your delivery model adapt to these modern AI-driven ecosystems, or will rigid legacy frameworks leave you paying that £130 per customer penalty in 2026? The tools and the methodologies are absolutely out there, but the next move is up to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.